North Korea is a very secluded country. This is a place where nothing gets in and nothing gets out. It probably should go without saying that there aren't many things in North Korea that exist in the outside world. With so many sanctions on the country, it's impossible for North Korea to import anything. Well, unless you're the North Korean dictator. Therefore, North Korea has to come up with some of its own things and some of its own products. In most cases, the country doesn't have much of a choice when it comes to the things it has that no one else does. Join us as we take a look at 5 products that only exist in North Korea. Before we begin, make sure you hit that subscribe button to get notified every day for more amazing content. With that being said, let's begin. Number 5. Magic Medicine. North Korea is a country that likes to claim a lot of things that sound outlandish. The reason why the country can do this is that it's so secluded from the outside world and no one knows any better what's real and what's not. In June of 2015, North Korea announced that it had created a wonder drug which was made from ginseng that could cure AIDS, Ebola, and MERS. This wonder drug, called Kumdang-2, was made by North Korean scientists who claimed it could cure a whole range of illnesses. Of course, the hermit state didn't provide any evidence that its new drug worked or cured these diseases. This prompted speculation that they may not be telling the truth. No, not North Korea, surely you jest! Still, the official Korean Central News Agency, which updates the world about events within the secretive dictatorship, announced the news of the drug. Usually, these updates include information on field guidance trips, which Kim Jong-un takes to various locations around the country's capital of Pyongyang, and usually, the dictator surrounded by a group of his minions, who are writing furiously on their notepads. The drug is claimed to have been developed and manufactured by the Korean Pugang Pharmaceutical Company. Getting the information from the company's director reads like something out of a fantasy novel, in which researchers insert rare earth elements into ginseng by applying the micro-elementary fertilizers of the rare earth into the fields of ginseng. This reminds me of the time I needed to get my brakes fixed and the mechanic told me that the camshaft needed to be replaced, the ball bearings had to be rotated, and I was low on blinker fluid, but I digress. Basically, the miracle drug they've concocted is ginseng grown in fertilizer mixed with a few other odds and ends, and of course, they aren't revealing their special combination. The medicine is delivered by injection and made of the extracts of those complex compounds that come from growing ginseng in fertilizer and other unnamed things. Any malicious viruses can be cured by this special miracle drug, including AIDS, SARS, Ebola, and MERS, which are diseases that are related to the immune systems of humans. And in case someone or some company wants to see if the drug does cure these things, it's been made available through a distributor in Moscow, Russia. Number 4. Separate Calendar. Everyone's probably familiar with the Gregorian calendar that we use worldwide for business and legal reasons. When I say we, I mean most countries use the same calendar and we're all pretty much on the same page, so to speak. However, in North Korea, the people use a different system of year numbering. Yeah, that's right. North Korea has its own calendar. The calendar is called the Juche calendar and borrows elements from 2 different historical calendars, which were used previously in Korea. Those 2 calendars are the Korean era names and names of the Gregorian calendar, that is, a calendar in which its years are tied to the birth of Jesus. The decree of this Juche calendar was adopted on July 8, 1997. This was also the 3rd anniversary of the death of Kim Il-sung. That same decree designated the birth anniversary of Kim Il-sung as the Day of the Sun. So, the birth year of Kim Il-sung was 1912 on the Gregorian calendar. This became known as Juche 1. This means that the year 2011 is called Juche 100, and so on. The use of the calendar started to be implemented on September 9, 1997. On this day, news agencies, newspapers, public transport, radio stations, and birth certificates began to use the Juche calendar years. So, what if you need to go back before 1912? There are no before Juche 1 years, and any years before this are simply given numbers based on the Christian or Gregorian calendar. It should be noted that the Juche ideal is North Korea's official state ideology, and their political system is based on it. The meaning of the word Juche translated literally is main body or subject. but some other North Korean sources have translated it as Independent Stand or the Spirit of Self-Reliance. A weird fact about this calendar is that the year numbers of the Juche, Minguo, and Japanese Taisho period all correspond to each other even though they aren't related. Oh, by the way, we'll give a virtual cookie to those who can tell us in the comments what year it is in North Korea. Number 3. Traffic Ladies. Here's something that only exists in North Korea that you'll probably never see anywhere else. North Korea has what's called traffic security officers, or in short, traffic ladies, who direct traffic in the capital city of Pyongyang. These traffic ladies are chosen for their looks, and that's because the society of North Korea remains traditionalist. And when they're on the street, they must have perfect movement and look exactly as they should in uniform. They snap their heads from side to side and march into the roads in their close-fitting blue uniforms and high-heel shoes. Well, at least they're not stilettos. These ladies are officially known as traffic security officers. This group of 300 ladies was originally introduced in the 1980s when vehicles were a rarity on the streets of Pyongyang and remained for decades after. It gave rise to the surreal sight of them directing non-existent traffic on the wide and deserted streets. It sure would be a sight to see. A traffic lady directing ghost cars. But they're not just traffic ladies. Since they're a part of North Korea's security forces, these women hold officer ranks. One of them, Senior Captain Ri Myung-sim, who is just 24 years old, says that she has to carry out each and every action with the utmost discipline and spirit. Speaking of age, their male counterparts have no age limit when it comes to applying to the traffic force, and they're usually stationed at roundabouts. However, female traffic officers have to be younger than 26 years old and they must be single. The reason they must be younger than 26 years old is that tradition states that North Korean women usually marry by the age of 26. So even if you're a traffic lady and you turn 26 years old and you're not married yet, you still must retire. This group of 300 traffic ladies is unique to Pyongyang, which the North Korean authorities proudly present in the best possible light despite the hermit country's impoverished status. They ensure there's a steady supply of young, photogenic women on the streets who, coincidentally, are one of the favorite subjects of visiting tourists and journalists. Number 2. NADA Agency. The USA has the NASA Space Agency, and North Korea has their NADA Space Agency. Yes, if the universe is in need of a lot of nothing, then the recently named North Korean agency is aptly titled. The North Korean nation on April 1st, 2014, of all days, marked the first anniversary of the founding of their space agency and announced a new name and emblem for the organization. The name they chose? National Aerospace Development Administration, or NADA. As most people might know, NADA in Española translates to nothing. Despite that name, it seems that North Korea probably had something else in mind when choosing the name. Let's talk about the NADA logo for a minute. No, it doesn't look anything like the NASA logo at all. It features a blue globe with a lighter blue intercrossing of rings, which symbolize orbiting satellites. The emblem also features the DPRK NADA logo and some Korean, which I'll not bother linguistically slaughtering, which translates to the National Aerospace Development Administration. Above these words are 7 stars, forming the constellation of Ursa Major, or the Big Dipper to those who are more familiar with it. Despite the odd look, there's actually some method to what appears as madness. The Big Dipper equals the Great Bear, reflecting the will of the space scientists of the DPRK to glorify Kim Il-sung's and Kim Jong-il's Korea as a space power. The globe represents the idea for the country's peaceful development of space, and those rings represent the DPRK's desire to launch a bunch of satellites into all orbits. In short, they want to dominate space. Of course, some media networks in the USA got a load of that logo and said that North Korea explained everything except how their logo looks a lot like NASA's logo, and arguably, right down to the blue globe, the lettering, and the swooshed ring. But North Korea does have some stuff flying around out there in space. In 2012, North Korea launched its first satellite that was able to successfully orbit the Earth. But the washing machine-sized probe failed soon after it entered space. But that's not all. It took 5 tries for North Korea to get this one to fail less than the others. Still, it established North Korea as the 10th country to put a satellite into space. Number 1. Social classes. North Korea is a country that has, over time, distanced itself from the rest of the world. It's a one-party state that follows a military-first policy in which maximum power is enjoyed only by those who are military professionals. The North Korean society is divided into 3 different classes, which is something that is unlike any other country in the world. This social hierarchy has 3 different levels, and you should be worried if you aren't in the top level if you're a North Korean citizen. It should be said that what happens to you in your future all depended on how loyal your ancestors were. You can be known as 3 different things: a grape, an apple, or a tomato. Grape is considered the first class, and these people usually belong to wealthy families. These are usually some landowners, merchants, and pro-Japan or pro-USA industrialists. This tier is also dubbed as grapes because they are hostile and politically unredeemable. It can include expelled party members, Buddhists, Catholics, some expelled public defenders, North Korean political prisoners, spies, and any members of the Democratic Party. These people are usually anti-government and usually don't stay around too long. The second highest is an apple. This class consists of small factory owners, artisans, and some medium service traders. This class is said to be wavering and is a class of national capitalists and those intellectuals trained before the national liberation. The last and third class, the tomatoes, is one that consists of people who are from families of laborers, poor farmers, peasants, and clerical and administrative workers from the Yi dynasty and Japanese occupation. This is the core class and is made up of loyalists to the government and includes recruitments for government or military staff, which also included the party staff. They are considered to be both red on the inside and the outside, and that is why they are referred to as tomatoes. Hope you enjoyed the video, Top 5ers. If you haven't already, check out our other channel, Americano, to enjoy even more amazing list videos. There will be a link in the description, so check it out, as well as our other cool stuff